Fatal Strike Productions presents A Fisherman's Treasure. Produced and narrated by Nathan Boston. Written by Ian Main. And illustrated by Sneck. It was days ago. The earth shook and cracked. People were screaming for help or for some glimpse of their loved ones. The fishing village lay ruined. The wooden beams supporting the houses could withstand the pounding of the water, but the wave that washed over showed to be too much. With a loud creak, they had cracked under the weight of nature. The fisherman could still hear the sound. It split his head like the axe splitting wood for a fireplace. He didn't know much about construction and knew he could do little to rebuild the village. But what he did know was that he could provide nourishment, nutrition, in the form of succulent, far-caught fish, a small account in a sea of melancholy. He found a fishing boat washed up on the water. By miracle, his familiar transport had survived. He pushed the boat back into the water, put his fishing rod and live worms in the boat, and got in. With his back to the eternal, watery plain and his face to the ruined village, he set to rowing. The sea was calm today, as if she was tired from her past calamity. He had stayed afloat for hours, but no fish had taken a bite so far, and it was already starting to get dark. He knew he couldn't return empty-handed. He didn't want to return empty-handed. The others were counting on him, even if they didn't know it themselves. The fisherman took his rod out of the water and refreshed the worm on the end. With a swing, the line swung back across the water. The bait was offered again. The fisherman watched the gentle motion of the ocean. It had been hard days. He craned his neck and felt a slight pressure on the rod, but the long-awaited euphoria failed to materialize. Nothing was biting, for now. After a long wait, the fisherman decided to return. He retrieved his line, but to his surprise, the worm on the hook had disappeared. Or mostly, anyway. Something had eaten around the hook. A small remnant of worm remained. He rowed back towards the shore, but instead of sailing straight ahead, he decided to stay close to the cliffs. The sea was calm, so he didn't have to worry about crashing into the cliffs. And maybe he could still find something valuable in the shallow water. Something other than fish that would give the villagers a glimmer of hope. He could at least set out and try. Arriving at the cliffs, he stopped rowing. The light current would guide him and his boat to the shore. He looked into the water. A slight glint caught his eye. Was it gold or silver reflecting in the sunlight? With a powerful movement, he thrust his arm into the water, grasping, hoping. But when he got close, just as he could feel the metal, the glow moved deeper into the cliffs. Determined, the fisherman stepped out of his boat and waded through the uneven plains of the cliffs. Every time he got close, the sea took it back further and further towards the shore. The fisherman stayed on top of the precious object until he saw the gold flowing ashore in a small, shallow cave. He estimated that it was a large piece. With this, the village could buy all the help they needed. He entered the cave. The gold had lost its light in the dark, and the walls felt wet, like a combination of water and slime, probably from all the filth the sea had washed in. The salty smell reminded him of the fish market where he used to sell his wares. And, bolstered by good memories of better times, he continued to the back of the cave. Surrounded by darkness, he got down on his hands and knees, desperately groping for the treasure. His fingers gripped and slid over rough stones, but he was careless and felt a small twinge of pain in his left wrist as it was cut across a sharp stone. The cut did not feel deep. He could go on. He swore he was close. They would welcome him like a hero. And then he saw the glimmer again. It seemed to swell up like a piece of lava, almost throbbing and dancing in character. He had never seen a gem that could do that. Quietly, with bent knees and caution of a prowling cat, he moved closer. He grasped, and finally, after a tiring day, he was able to catch it. To his surprise, the metal was not hard, but fleshy, an effect of the water. A growl sounded from the darkest corner of the cave. The fisherman peered into the vast darkness before him. Suddenly, his treasure began to move. From the water, a dark rope seemed to rise. It ran from him into the darkness. He hesitated to let go of it. He couldn't go back. Not now. He was so close. He pulled on the gem. and out of the dark corner, it appeared. Green, scaly legs and arms with webs in between. Its eyes were dark yellow with sickly red veins running through it. Stunned, the fisherman watched as it approached. It grinned hungrily. The fisherman realized he was no more the predator. He had become the prey. He turned and started running, but the gem opened and revealed a mouth with teeth that soon set into the fisherman's ankle. He was pulled backward into the low water. The water and mucus on the floor penetrated him and flooded his lungs. Everything burned like a hot stove in which one forges iron. The fisherman tried to cough up the fire, but all that came out was phlegm. The oxygen pulled out of his limbs, paralyzing his arms and legs. But his heart and lungs continued to work. All he could do now is watch in desperation as the monster bent down over him. The monster proceeded surgically. It began by first removing his nails and teeth. The fisherman wanted to scream, but couldn't make a sound. Then the monster began sucking and nibbling on his hands and feet. It enjoyed his flesh and quietly worked towards the center of his body. Each time it finished a limb, the small mouth, attached to what the fisherman thought was a gold piece, spit out mucus. The mucus burned the veins and kept the fisherman from losing too much blood. Finally, the monster scooped up salt where the floor rose above the water. It completely smeared the fisherman from head to toe. It gouged out his eyes and tore off his tongue, and stuffed more salt into his empty eye sockets and mouth. And like a piece of salted fish, it left him there for the next time it got hungry. Hey, thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed the story, please check out more of our content on our podcast, The Zendarian Tomes of Power, or on our YouTube channel, Fatal Strike Productions. Thanks again. Hope to see you next time.